what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Normal America Show. Host robnoerr. I got a short one for you today. Once more, I reiterate, if you missed the show yesterday, the entire purpose of what I'm trying to do here is to be able to stream live on TikTok Studio via my computer. It'll be able to solve so many problems, and I'm going to start working with Andrew Wilson at least 3 times a week, doing these big TikTok sieges, where we are going to get a foothold for conservatives in TikTok and dominate that space. That's the idea. But first things first, I have to meet the criteria for being able to have TikTok Studio live. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Now it seems that the metric is I have to stream 3 times on 3 separate days, a half hour. So here we are. Now, I'll be honest with you. You've probably gleaned from the topic that I'm going to be talking about some nonsense today. And that is true. We are going to be talking about some nonsense. I ultimately don't think this topic is that important, though. I do think there is some importance to talking about it. I personally am chomping at the bit to talk about ICE, the left-wing riots, or in their terminology, insurrections that are occurring on a daily basis. However, that's going to be a long video. That's going to be a long live stream. We're probably talking 3-4 hours and probably multiple times to sort of get my thoughts out on that. So I thought, what can I talk about today, seeing as how I have limited time? I have friends coming over. My son's birthday party is tomorrow. He turned 5 on the 9th, but because I was away, we decided to do his party this Sunday, so that'll be tomorrow. And we have guests coming in and decorations to set up and all of that good stuff. So I'm going to try to limit this stream to about 1/2 of an hour. I am streaming on TikTok, so you can go over there. It's just robnoerr on TikTok. So you can go over there if you like, though I'll be honest, I think you get more bells and whistles watching on other platforms at this point, because on TikTok, you get a slightly different angle, I guess, because I'm filming from my phone there. But yeah, the idea is that you can't see all this. Like if I bring up my good friend GG, who gifts a membership, you can't see that on TikTok. Thank you so much, GG. So I am on Kick as well. That's absolutely true. So, all right, let's start then, since it's not going to be a normal show lengthwise. Now, you guys would be absolute chads if you could still get me to my goal of $357, but I'm under no misapprehensions. We're doing a weird daytime stream that wasn't advertised. It's only going to be a half an hour. So we'll see what happens, though. But I do appreciate all of you. Without further ado. Now, I won't bring up videos because they won't be able to see it on TikTok. Again, once I could stream through TikTok on my computer, this won't be so much of a problem. But have you all seen Candace Owens' new theory? You all seen this? Let me see if I can distill it. Someone tell me if you think I'm misrepresenting this. I'm going to try to give it to you. You see, do you guys know about Project Looking Glass? Well, here's what happened. We had some whistleblowers from the intelligence agency that started to blow the whistle in the late 90s, I believe, that there was a device called Project Looking Glass that enabled our intel agencies to see into the future. Now, this happens to coincide with a lot of stuff that's going on, such as the movie The Matrix or with Y2K. So get ready. It's going to include both of those things. Now, here's what happens. Whistleblowers are saying that there was a problem with Project Looking Glass because when we looked into it, it turned out that all of these alternate timelines that they were able to see into the future, there was a convergence point, and that point was right around 2012. Remember the Aztec calendar? Coincidence that it was ending at the same time? I think not, says Candace Owens. So, all these things were converging. Now, simultaneously, you have some unique things occurring. First is the movie The Matrix. Now, this may have been the first time that the veil of truth was coming through. And so what happened is we're able to see that there's like maybe things from the future that are pushing back of what the truth is. And The Matrix might have been one of those, that where some of these timelines may have been some sort of simulation or something like that. Then, of course, we have Y2K. Turned out that it seemed like, it was just something that we are all freaked out about all the digits turning back. If you're younger and you don't remember Y2K, everybody freaked out because when you put dates into like computer software, they were just doing 2 digits. So it was 19 and then blank. 19 and then you'd put 73 for 1973. Nowadays, of course, we have 4 digits because everything rolled over to 2000. So it's blank, 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 blank. So you could put like 2017 or 1983. But back then, the 19 was locked in. So there was this fear that all of this technology would collapse. We all thought that it was just a mistake or just a scam in order to justify updating all this technology. Nonetheless, nothing happened. Or did it? Did something happen at that point that put us on this course? Have you ever started to notice that it seems like, by the way, this is Candace Owens. Have you started to notice that it seems like this, there's just something fake about this world? Like it's the same, but it's different? Right. Of course, then it all starts with the cornucopia. You know what I'm talking about. The cornucopia, yes, on the Fruit of Looms commercial. This is something called the Mandela effect. You thought there was a cornucopia in the Fruit of the Looms, but it turns out that's not necessarily the case, right? Now it says that no, there never was a cornucopia, but actually we all remember there was, and there was black on Pikachu's tail. We all know it. Now, though, if you look, there's no black on Pikachu's tail. Starting to get the picture? Now, you might be asking, what's this have to do with Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk? Well, it turns out, Candace says that Charlie Kirk messaged her and said that he was a time traveler, and what she revealed to him that she feels like an alien. One of the reasons she feels like an alien is because she has a lot of connections to cats, and she feels that something's off about this world, like she doesn't belong here, like she was an alien. And when Charlie Kirk told her she was a time traveler, initially she thought, like all of us would think, that Charlie was just saying like, hey, sometimes I feel like I could guess what's going to go on because I'm involved in politics and stuff. I feel like a time traveler, or, you know, someone that came from a different era where customs were different. But now she realizes he really was a time traveler. So you had this Project Looking Glass stuff that proves that it's sort of possible to be from these alternative timelines in the future and all that stuff. Here's the thing. You see, much like Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk always had handlers. Now, Candace didn't realize that she had these handlers when she was young. But the truth is, she did. She didn't see that they're all around. And the reason is because people like her and Charlie are gifted. Not gifted intelligence-wise, though that's obviously true, but also gifted in the idea that they're special. They have special powers. Maybe they are time travelers. Maybe they are aliens. And so they have an entity around them and handlers that are watching them. And so Charlie Kirk was from the future, and he went to a school, and this is her words, not mine, much like the X-Men, Xavier's School for the Gifted. You see, he had superpowers. And Candace probably did too. And they were trying to get her to go to Professor X's school as well. Right? So there you have it. Then what happened was they were going to pull money out of Turning Point, and Charlie was like, okay, then take the money. And so they had to take him out. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, this sounds far-fetched, but the truth is, I too am an X-Man. Yes, now the truth comes out. That's right. Haven't you ever wondered how I'm able to do certain things that seem impossible? For example, for a big, fat, lazy bastard, it seems that I have a lot of energy when I'm on here. You might say, supplements. No, I don't even really drink coffee. It's all natural. How can that be? How can it be? Now you know the truth. X-Man. How can I have such base political takes and seemingly be a good debater and intelligent, and yet I'm one of the dumbest human beings you'd ever meet when it comes to common sense shit around the house? X-Man. That's right. Now, the X-Man school I went to was a small rural school in western Pennsylvania that looked like dog shit from the outside. From the outside, it looked very normal for a rural school, one that didn't have anything special going on. But it's true. All of us there were X-Men. And in that town, now we have problems like meth and stuff, but that's just what we want you to believe. It turns out those problems aren't real. That's really just us portraying that out there for our X-Man lifestyles. We had all sorts of cool Superman X-Man powers. For example, we had the power to have most of the jobs in the area disappear. And then now we have people with the power to go to the bar all the time and consume all sorts of illicit materials. And then, like, seemingly pass out standing up. What amazing X-Man power. We're very good at that one. My town was very good at that power. So, yes, it's brilliant. There you have it. We're just asking. That's right. We're just asking questions. We're just asking questions. That's all we're doing here. We're just asking questions. So, there you have it. I'm going to try to telepathically communicate right now using my X-Man abilities to Candace Owens. Yes. I think I've got it. We've successfully communicated. Now, I'm being a little facetious, but not much, with what her literal theory is. It is a rambling, incoherent fucking mess. It's laughable. It's actually laughable. Just throwing stuff at the wall. Why not go further? Right? I remember in the early 2000s, right around the time of Y2K. Do you remember when WCW collapsed? Remember that? When was that? 2001, 2002, something like that. Coincidence that that's the same time that we started to have the Mandela effects? I believe that Ted Turner's wrestling organization was sort of like a linchpin in creeping the multiverses together. And as soon as WCW wrestling collapsed, coincidence? The finger poke of doom, all of that stuff, the beginning of the unraveling of our society. And then let's not forget, shall we? It would be a mistake to forget. George W. Bush, part owner of the Texas Rangers baseball team, circa 2000, around that time. Shortly after that, my favorite baseball player, myself being an X-Man, was Aramis Ramirez, got traded from the woeful Pittsburgh Pirates to the Chicago Cubs. Chicago, Cub. Notice those are alliteration. Both begins with C. CC, same sort of unit that you would talk about of liquid. Now, we all know the dopamine that comes in your brain sometimes can be distilled to a liquid format. CC, dopamine, liquid. Happiness, that's what dopiness is about. So they took that, Aramis Ramirez, the Chicago Cubs, the dopamine, the happiness, same time WCW collapses, and simultaneously we see that there's a lot of talk about starting to go after an axis of evil. Makes sense. Chicago Cubs, axis of evil. All of a sudden, we're coming out of things like Y2K, George Bush, Texas Rangers. Now you're starting to understand it. This would be around the time that the future Charlie Kirk would look back and start to do things like understand that he wanted to be political once he got to high school. Get it? High school, not low school. He went to high school, as in high like X-Man. High having a gifted status. Gifted as in not intelligence, but gift as in superpower gifts, as in a mutation. Now notice with the X-Men, they were mutants, right? They weren't people that had superpowers like Superman that were aliens. These were mutants. In other words, ones that once were human but evolved past then. Aramis Ramirez to the Cubs, the CC, the dopamine, the mutant, Y2J, WCW collapsing. Now you understand. And that's how you know the Jewish people were responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk. You get it? It all makes sense now. Once you start to lace these in. I hope that everyone kept up with that. Now, it's difficult for me as an X-Man myself, who went to a gifted school in rural Pennsylvania. It's difficult for me to impart this to you all because you're still caught in the Matrix. Remember the Matrix? You see, the movie The Matrix, the mere fact that you viewed it was the veil piercing through, which then showed that you are still part in the Matrix, which is why you can't understand. Now, here's the good news. There's a way for you all to break out of this. And you have to send me super chats. That's the only way. Now, you may think, how convenient. Rob wants our money. Oh, no, no, no. That would imply that I'm using the money for something personal. Untrue, untrue. You see, what I've learned from Candace Owens is it's not that me getting this money is for my benefit, it's from your benefit. That's what's going on. Because when I get this money and I buy toys for my son and I go on vacation and I do things that seemingly look like I'm just using this money to have fun in my life, that's just me covering. You understand? That's me covering so that they can't see that I'm working on the inside to have these X-Men fellow students of mine pierce through the veil and save you all. You get it? Now, right now, as we speak, there's only $15 of super chats right now on YouTube. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. That's 4% of our goal of stopping them. And you know who them are. You know who they are. Thank goodness we're up to 5%. We'll read the super chat. The act of reading, you see, reading, re-adding, add, money, numbers, add. CC, numbers, add, liquid, dopamine, happiness, Chicago Cubs, WCW, the re-adding of the super chat. Chat like Chad, me, X-Man, Chad, right? The re-adding of that actually staves off them. So we have to re-add the super chats. You see? So we're gonna have to read them, but we gotta get to 100%. And we only have a half an hour to do so. It's very dire. It's very dire. Now, let me break out of the veil for a minute. One of the things I'm capable of doing as an X-man, by the way, notice it's X-man. See, that's another thing with the pronouns. The whole point is to take away the fact that we are X-men. Men. See? So let me break out of this and talk to you as if I was still in the veil like you all, right? So let me tune my X-Man brain into temporarily hypnotizing myself to forgetting this truth and then talk to you all as if I'm just a normie in the veil before I come out. X-they, X-thems, yeah. Wow, Candace Owens sounds like a fucking idiot, doesn't she? Huh. Remember there a couple weeks ago where I was like trying to be polite and was like, hey, people were talking about Candace Owens. I'll admit I haven't watched a lot of her stuff. So if someone wants to explain to me what her theory is, you remember this? And they were like, oh, well. And listen, from the bottom of my heart, I was trying to be like, let's hear it out. I've believed some goofy shit in my life. So let's hear out what the theory is. And they were like, yeah, airplanes. And I was like, okay. And they're Egyptian. And I was like, okay, so what's up with these Egyptian airplanes? Well, they were following Erica Kirk around. Okay. It's like 8 times they were around Erica Kirk. Okay, so some Egyptian planes were in the air around Erica Kirk. Yeah. Okay. And, well, turns out they were Jewish planes. Israel. Because they sometimes went to Israel, so therefore they must be Israeli planes. Okay, let's accept that. What's the theory here? What's the theory? And the people were like, well, she hasn't said. And I'm like, well, is it that they were spying on the Kirks and Turning Point? Wouldn't there be better ways to do it than just have public airplanes in the air? So everyone could see? Like, the whole point of spying seems to be that you don't want people to know you're doing it. Right? So why would you have airplanes visible? Wouldn't it have made more sense to like pay to have like a person in their employ that could routinely spy on them, to put electronic surveillance on them? Something. I mean, most of the events they were going to were on a public itinerary. So why would you have airplanes? Why would they be able to spy better than, like, say, people on the ground or something like that? Well, we don't know. Was it about intimidation? That they were intimidating? Aren't there better ways to do that than flying planes in American airspace? And I'm not shitting on the people that were imparting Candace Owens' theory on my channel. They were just saying she hasn't said. And I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. Normally, to have a conspiracy, you have to have like a logical train of thought in order to entertain it. Look, I'm willing to entertain conspiracies. I believe many myself. Some conspiracy, like we have a negative connotation of conspiracy. If I sit down and I talk to 3 streamers and I say, here's our plan, what we're going to do going forward in order to win, that's a conspiracy. It is a group of people conspiring. Nothing illegal about it. Nothing even untoward. Technically a conspiracy. Of course, yes, there were claims that it was debunked, that the planes were bullshit, but it doesn't matter. Let's just take the claims at face value. For example, the moon landing is fake. Now, the details of this don't matter. So I don't, just for a second, take out whether or not you believe that things have been debunked or not. Here's the theory, though. United States in a race with the Soviets. I think this is a possible theory. I've never really looked into this, but I intuited something like this. United States in a space race with the Soviets. There's all sorts of economic, militaristic, and cultural competition going on between the two. Soviets start to beat the United States in getting a man into space. So the next big frontier is a man on the moon. And so they had incentive to fake this by going to a studio. And there's a bunch of things like the way the flag's waving, this, that, and the other, that intuit that this was not an actual trip to the moon, but was actually something filmed in a studio. And the reason was to make the United States look stronger against the Soviets. Now, regardless of what you think, that theory has a coherency. It's like, okay, I can understand that. You might say, okay, then let's look at the details. But we can't even get there with this planes theory because there's no coherent story. There were planes in the air, okay? And then what's the argument? So that leads us to believe that? Well, we don't know. But there's questions. But what's the theory? To just be like, here's something odd. And I think Israel's responsible for Charlie Kirk's death. Okay, how do we get there? How do we get from the something odd planes to Israel did it? There's a gap. What's even the argument? I'm willing to listen. Now, it might be that that's bullshit. You might say, but this whole planes argument's been debunked. That's bullshit. Or actually, here's proof that we have that Tyler Robinson did it. So it doesn't look... Whatever it may be. But we can't even get there. First, you want the coherent story. And there's just no coherency there. But okay, I get it. People are searching for answers. There are things about Israel specifically that causes people to think that they're responsible for all the ills of the world. This is a theory I don't share, but okay. Well, because so many people of Jewish ethnicity are doing very well in the world. Like, I believe people of Jewish ethnicity are like 2% of the population of the world, and yet they make up like 40% of billionaires. And, you know, we have influence from Israel in the United States to certain degrees, etc., etc. But the problem I've always seen with it is there's legit criticism to be had. Like the ADL, for example, I think's ridiculous. But I don't go as far as to be like, this means that this group of people is responsible for all the evils of the world. You look at things on a step-by-step basis. And you say, yeah, I can think there's too much influence. That doesn't mean that I think every ill that ever occurs in the world is because of Israel. But there are people that believe that. And then what happens is, the logical extrapolation of that is anytime a significantly negative event happens, you're like, well, Israel must have done it. And if the facts that we're being told aren't Israel did it, then it's a cover-up. And then what's the logical? Well, then these planes were in the air and this, that, and the other. And then step by step as things crumble down. Remember, last I left this off, Candace met with Erica Kirk, and it seemed obvious that Erica's people were like, listen, we're going to get lawyers involved. You can't do this. You can't be strongly implicating like people at Turning Point as being, involved in a conspiracy to murder Charlie Kirk. And so Candace like backed off on that. And then the problem is, where are you going to go? You can't roll it back. You can't do it. She can't go to her audience. You know what? Maybe I overstepped my bounds. I mean, you can, but that's going to be a lot of crow eating. And that's what's driving the eyeballs to Candace are the more and more scandalous conspiracy. So there's nowhere to go but further down the rabbit hole. And so then what do you end up with? Well, that Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk are X-Men. And that Charlie Kirk's a time traveler. And it has to do with Project Looking Glass and the movie The Matrix and the cornucopia in the Fruit of the Looms logo. That's where we're at. And what a fool you must feel like if you listen to her. Now, I don't blame anyone. Some of the things that we're told to believe by official sources are so outlandish that, of course, you expect people to just come up with conspiracy theories, and many times they'll be outlandish themselves. For example, 2020 was the, quote, most secure election ever. Now, maybe that 2020 was an election that had problems, like almost every election, and even had more problems, as you would expect, seeing as how we massively changed the way we voted in this country, and yet those problems didn't lead to the wrong person being chosen. That's an argument that Joe Biden legitimately won, but sure, there were problems. But no, that's no good. They have to go further. It was the most secure ever. What? And you shouldn't be allowed to question any of it. It's dangerous. That's bullshit. And I can give you a dozen other things like that. There was no chance that anything could have happened. These are the sorts of things. Right. Or I'm here to make sure that you don't know about the elite's use of time travel. Yes. So, you end up with these, and someone said, she doesn't feel like a fool at all. She believes it. Maybe so. But if you're in her audience, don't you feel foolish? Don't you feel foolish? If you were going out there like, no, wait a minute, there's something to what she's saying. And people were unfairly being like, I don't know, she seems a little off her rocker. That's just like people trying to silence her. Okay, she's speaking now. So what's the excuse going to be? That actually she's right? That this Charlie Kirk was an X-Man time traveler? Right? Or did the government get to her? Did they like mess with her mind somehow? Now she's saying gibberish? I think there's a lesson that we could learn here. And that is, although there is legitimate reason to distrust people in charge of our institutions, and they themselves bring some of the most ridiculous theories in order to control us, This does not mean, and this was what I started to realize when I addressed the Candace Owens stuff previously, even in a way that was like not impolite to Candace Owens or her supporters. And the gut reaction when I was like, okay, let's hear Candace Owens' theory, was people being like, oh, so you're an FBI bootlicker. You believe that we should always listen to the FBI and to the CIA. What are you talking about? Of course, that's not what I'm suggesting. But this false dichotomy. Well, if you have reason to distrust the FBI, I do. I want them disbanded. That means that I have to believe anybody who makes any sort of accusation that's critical of the institutions. It's a joke. One of the things that we're starting to see is there was a reason. Look, it's a difficult thing that I've been sort of. It goes out to like sort of a beyond this hyper specific situation, and it goes into a broader sort of philosophical question. How democratized should we be? Maybe we do want experts controlling things. Maybe we do want sort of benevolent monarchies. Now, I don't believe that. I believe that it's possible, and I'm open to hearing these sorts of interpretations. But the negative is it's too easy for those things to become corrupt or to be wrong from time to time, and there's no mechanism for questioning it. So we have to have some sort of mix. It's okay. Like, it's so difficult, right? It's such a difficult thing to understand. And I've been thinking of this for a long time. For me, it's easy, right? And maybe it's becoming more Christian. And so it's easier for me to see this. Like, I don't have to be the big man. I don't. I could look at someone and say, there is a person that I could try to put that I think is doing a great job. I don't have to agree with them all the time, but I could put energy into helping that person make positive change. I don't have to be the governor. I don't have to be the president. I don't have to be the senator. I don't even have to be the guy that's advising them. I could do my little part. I could say, how can I help my local school board? Should I run if there's no one else? If someone is running who's good, how can I support them? How can I help my church? How can I help my community? And then back home, I'm a leader in my house. I'm the father. I'm the husband. My wife is a leader of my child. We all have roles to play. Well, extrapolate that out to sort of a societal level. When I hear the media talk about being the fourth estate and how important they are, they're right. It's just they're no longer media. They're propagandists. Our legacy media is dead. It's all bullshit propaganda, or the majority of it. So, what happens? Average people now have a voice, and alternative people now have a voice, which is good. They should have a voice. Absolutely. That's what helps keep these legacy people in check. But what a mistake collapsing the credibility of the legacy media to the point where, rightfully so, they're distrusted almost as much as any institution in the country. But the truth is, there are things that, quote, an elite media can do that sort of those of us just individuals are incapable of. I'll never have the resources to have like some deep investigative journalist effort into like, you know, the rulers in Zimbabwe. Those are the sorts of things that you expected from the legacy media. But they're garbage. So then we're left to sift through the wreckage. Okay, let's do our best to sift through things and come to the best truth that we can ourselves, or listen to people that we trust, or at least attempting to do that. But the problem is, there are an awful lot of people that are just straight up talking out their ass. Because they're crazy, or because they're grifters. And so then all these people fall into it. And the truth is, Charlie Kirk's strength was that he was somehow this fulcrum point for bringing all of these disparate right-wing voices to sort of a focal point. It wasn't perfect, but he was doing it better than anyone else. Then when he's killed, now there's this open vacuum. Who's going to fill that vacuum? Well, a lot of people are looking at it as if who's going to fill that vacuum when it comes to being the prominent sort of right-wing voice, debater, idea person. But more importantly than any of that is organizer. That's the real strength of Charlie Kirk. Now, let me take a step back and say, I don't say this to belittle Kirk. In fact, it's probably the most important thing he did in a political scale. And clearly, the most important thing that appears to me that Charlie Kirk did was to be a father, was to be a husband, and was to be someone that was proudly displaying his faith and trying to convince people through his works to be better people. But when it comes to a political standpoint, Charlie the debater, Charlie the pundit, Charlie the political activist is probably less effective to real political change than Charlie the organizer. What he built at Turning Point USA, the amount of people that were involved in that organization, how it brought all of these different voices together, many of which don't like each other at all. And it wasn't perfect. There were still voices that consider themselves conservative that weren't there. But now there's this vacuum. So who's going to fill it? Is it going to be Nick Fuentes? Is it going to be Candace Owens? Is it going to be Ben Shapiro? Who's it going to be? And you see people wearing like, I'm going to tell you right now, let me just square with you right now. And someone clip this if they ever want, in case I lose my way. And you can clip it and say, you're full of it, Rob. I promise I'll get to super chats after this. I didn't talk much about Charlie Kirk when he was alive. I did not cite him as like the most important Republican voice or anything like that. I never talked to the man. I don't know that I ever talked to anyone who did talk to the man. Actually, I do know at least one person, but you see my point. So I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, you know, Charlie and me. It didn't happen. I was shocked to find out how effective Charlie was, and it took not having him to realize it, particularly as an organizer. But now you got these people crawling out of the woodwork like they'd have you believe them and Charlie are best friends. They were strategizing all this stuff together. They were X-Men together. And so in this mad rush, you have this perversion that is Candace Owens and the movement she built. And make no mistake about it, you could write her off as fringe, but her audience was immense. Yeah, maybe some people were just watching the train wreck happen in real life. But don't kid yourself. There were a lot of people. And the way she talks about Charlie Kirk, you would think that they were like chatting every night. Oh, Charlie would text me and blah, blah, blah. Who knows? Maybe they were. I don't know. But I know this. What she sings, batshit crazy. He went to an X-Man school for having gifted superpowers and was a time traveler from the future, and Candace Owens might be an alien? The left is not only, as we speak, fighting tooth and nail and largely winning, using violence and intimidation to allow illegal immigrants to stay in this country unfettered and attacking law enforcement. Their leaders are announcing they are going to prosecute Trump and people connected to Trump and possibly ICE when they get power. And we're dealing with this stupid fucking shit. I will never be, nor do I want to fill the shoes as being sort of this bridge between right wingers in a way Charlie Kirk was. It's not for me. It's probably also not for me to be the big man. I just do me. That's it. Truth be told, I'm sort of a phony. If you get right down to it. That's the truth. Now, I believe everything I say on here. And I believe in the goodness of this country. And I believe in the danger to it and to the Western world. And I believe that I'm saying things that I think are important and trying to push for things that I think are important to help put that in a big or in the right direction. But the reason that I say I'm a phony is I have to tell you, and I think about this a lot. If I won $1 billion tomorrow, I don't know how much longer I would do this. I don't know. My guess is I'd still do it. My guess is that there would be a short period of elation and getting things dealt with, but then I would still do this. But I know I wouldn't do it to the extent that I do now. Because at the end of the day, what else would I do? I would spend time with my family. And that to me is what matters more than anything. And I know that's selfish, and it is, but that's what I would do. I'm so lucky to have them. And I feel like God blessed me in some inexplicable way to have such a great family. And I used to think about these even before I had a family. I used to say to myself, even when I was almost an atheist, why is it fair? Why is it fair that I was born in the United States, relatively healthy, to parents that cared? And then I could look around the world and I could see people that were born into circumstances nowhere near as lucky as me. Whether it be people born in countries where, based on where they were born, their quality of life was going to be significantly diminished, or people that were born with debilitative illnesses, many of whom I worked with when I did home health care. Why me? Why am I so lucky? I don't know. But you know, it almost feels sinful to not enjoy it, you know? So it's a weird thing. I don't know. Trust me, I'm nowhere near being a millionaire, let alone a billionaire. So it's all for naught, anyways. But the point is, maybe 22-year-old Rob would have said, I'm going to change the world. I'm not so sure anymore that that's what 41-year-old Rob's interested in. 41-year-old Rob's like, I want to change my gutters, which need replaced. And I want to change not spending enough time with my family. And yeah, somewhere in there is I want to change politics and push for things, you know? But that's okay. I was not lefty Rob. I was more libertarian Rob, but not lefty. But I only bring it up to say this. I don't think like, oh, I need to be the big man. I don't feel that way at all. I don't have that pressure or that impulse in me that's like, I have to be the guy with all the answers. I'm just me. I think I'm good at what I do. I like what I do. I think I'm a hell of a debater. I think my political instincts are very good. I hope that I'm entertaining. But I don't need to be the senator. I don't need to be the governor. I don't need to be the president. I don't need to be Charlie Kirk or anything close to him. I don't know. What's in someone's head like Candace Owens? Does she need to be the biggest voice for Charlie? Is she just doing it because she believes it and believes this is the right thing? Or is it all an act? And it just happens that this act was really good for her to get a bunch of money. I don't know. But I'll say this. Someone needs to step up and fulfill that role that Charlie once had when it comes to the organizational skills. And I don't mean creating Turning Point. That's another set of organization. I mean being the person that people from all different areas of the right can call and talk to. And they could focus on, like, how do we come together to win these important battles? That's what I mean. So, but it's insanity. What's going on with Candace Owens right now? Absolutely insane. And my goodness, I hope that people wake up and realize you're being misled. You're going down a path of someone who's crazy, and it's just going to get worse from here. The meta is going to get even crazier. She's going to be part of the story the entire time. It's going to be her and her involvement. She's an alien. She too's an X-Man. Her and Charlie's relationship. And whether she realizes she's doing it or not, she has to put herself at the center of the story. And it's becoming crazy. Laughably crazy. And there are huge numbers of people that turn to her. So, what a mess. What a mess. And, you know, kudos to the people that were out there saying, like, there's something wrong with this lady. And they were getting shit on. Oh, did you get the call? Did Israel call you? Oh, you sold out. Not like Candace. She's the only one out there fighting the good fight. And now we're at the point where, you know, Xavier's School for the Gifted and Operation Looking Glass and Y2K and the Matrix movie and the Mandela Effect and Cornucopia and Pikachu's tail. It all makes sense. Just ask her. I did not get my 7K from Israel. I must have got lost in the mail. All right. Now that we've done all that, let me shift back into my super interdimensional alien X-Man mutant mode. Did I convince you all? Did I convince you all that this was all a scam? Good. That's what I want them to think. Weege, $10. Says, hello, Roberto. Hello, Weege. Forgotten Texas, $5 says, you can't make this stuff up, but what if you can? Just asking questions. You're right. OG2, thank you for the gifted sub, man. And then $5 says, shit, I don't want to be in the Matrix. Sorry, dude. The Quality Leering Center for $5. Thank you. It's nice to get some of our tax dollars back from the Quality Leering Center. GG, $2 says, thank you for briefing me on this. You got it. Call me GL, $10 says, here you go. Love Nightcrawler. Thank you. Could you teleport here and bring me a beverage? That would be great. Nate the Eagle, $5 says, to my normies. I think this is what you're going for. Let's see if I get this right. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. 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 Da-da. Yeah, I used to watch every episode Saturday
morning. Forgot
the
clashing sounds.
Whatever. That's as close as I got. It's been a while.
Yeah, I have some big news for you.
What's that?
Okay, so you know how you complain and you did this whole like bitching fest about all of the complaints of your friends?
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. And do you remember Speakeazy was one of them?
Sure.
Yeah, what was his complaint?
I don't even remember.
Is that you didn't have a verbal combat character, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? Because you didn't win, right? So guess what Avarice did last night?
Oh, you made me a character?
No, I did even step further. I beat you to it in one verbal combat.
Ah, you're right.
Ah!
I did get up at like the wee hours of the morning to go to the bathroom, and I saw that Speakeazy was still streaming. But good for you. Now the people on X or the people on TikTok have no idea what's going on right now, so because they can't hear you. But my friend Avarice won Speakeazy's verbal combat show last night. So excellent. Good stuff.
I'm gonna rub in my face rub it in your face that I now have my verbal combat character before robnoerr. Just had to throw that out there.
Well, good, very good. So, all right, I'll get through the rest of these super chats here.
Yeah, let's do it. To the back. Good morning, Rob.
For God in Texas, $5 says, I received the message telepathically that I learned with the X-Men to send this, and I don't do this so I don't get proved again. LOL. It almost didn't sound like English there. X-Men talk. Kurt, what's up? 11 months says she's a mother with a dead child grasping at straws. That might be it. Not one step back. BTKB. Or TKB. Not one step. BTK, no good. We don't want that. Not one step back. TKB. $5 says, I saw CNN poll that says America is negative on ICE and immigration. If true, it's from their lies. Does this give credence to their power? Yes. Michael Ruiz, thank you so much for becoming a member. And it's Jacob official. $5 says gratitude's a virtue. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Now, you guys have all been incredibly generous. I will have to say, though, I'm afraid the Matrix is won. Only 15% of the way to the goal. My goodness. Yeah, Jake Rattlesnake not happy. Sad, sad, sad turn of events. Only 15% of the way to the goal. Now, thank you so much to everyone watching on Rumble as well. Can I explain once again what I'm doing with TikTok? Sure. Right now, what I'm attempting to do is I have to stream at least 3 times live on TikTok, at least a half hour at a time, so that I could get TikTok Studio on my computer. The way TikTok's set up, you can't stream live to TikTok from a desktop. You can only do it through a phone. But I want to be able to do it through the computer so that the quality's better and a bunch of other things. Ultimately, the goal is to, 1, do TikTok invasions, and 2, do the TikTok siege. TikTok Siege will be working with Andrew Wilson. Instead of us going into other people's TikTok channels, he will set up his TikTok channel to welcome lefties in to call and debate us regularly. I could join that as a co-host on TikTok on my desktop, but only once I get allowed to do TikTok on the desktop, which I can't do right now because I haven't met the requirements, which is why I'm streaming today. So, yeah, I know, the emulating, the BlueStacks, all that shit. The quality of it's shit, and my computer couldn't handle it. It would be easier just to get verified on TikTok. How can you help me get there? No, I just got to stream enough, so it shouldn't be an issue. Oh my goodness, Gravios, what a Chad. Thank you so much. Says DPH over at the Church of Eternal Logos on YouTube has a great chat with Professor Xiang on global politics and game theory. DPH is great, by the way. I got his book autographed. I met him at DebateCon. I think it would be awesome to see you cover it and give your opinions. Maybe I will. That's not a bad idea. I'm going to be very busy coming up this week, but thank you. What an absolute Chad. 44% of the way to the goal. Thanks to Gravios. Crushing it. Unreal. Only about $200 away. Now, I do have to wrap up, though, unfortunately.
I read that book, so I'd love to get your take.
Yeah, I have to read it. I'm behind on like 4
You know what it's about, right?
No.
It's the transcendental argument.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so my wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, I'll have to check it out for sure. Darth Grumpy says, so you're doing 3 half-hour streams on TikTok. That's super simple, especially since you stream a lot anyways. 2 birds, 1 stone. Yeah, but the problem is Andrew wants to start Monday. Actually, he wanted to start today. Now, there's also the chance that this ain't going to work. I don't know. I applied. I think what happened is this. I applied to TikTok Studio months ago, was accepted. Then you have 30 days to do a live stream on TikTok, which I think I didn't do because I was unaware of that. Then, David Patrick Harris. Then what happened was I lost my ability to do it. So I'm not so sure how to re-get that ability. So I reapplied. It says I was denied. I asked why I was denied. It says check your TikTok app. I checked the TikTok app and it tells me here's 3 metrics you have to meet. You have to do a half-hour live stream. You have to do live stream 3 days, and then you have to have 1,000 followers. I already have 1,000 followers. I did the half-hour stream. This will be the second day that I've done a live stream. So I'm hoping that works, but I'm not sure. OG2, $10 says, I got to go to sleep 3 a.m. here, but God bless you all. God bless you. Yeah, David Patrick Harry. He's a great dude. A lot of fun hanging out with him at DebateCon. Real quick before I leave, I will answer this question over on Rumble. Someone asks if I am a master debater. How many times do you think that I've been asked that? Or other people that debate? If you had to guess. Just take a guess. I would say I've probably had that asked to me 500 plus times in my life. Of course, my answer was always yes, and I also jerk off a lot. But you did it, man. You did it. You got it, RS Moore. Yeah, it's probably more than 500. All right, so that's it. I'm getting ready for my son's birthday party, so I got to go. So we'll be wrapping up here this evening. But just remember, everything's going to work out. Everything's going to work out. I could say that because I'm a time traveler from the future, and I know it. Of course, it'll only work out if the Super Chat goals usually at 100%. So I don't know. I'll have to look into the future and see what will happen. We only made it to 45%. I don't know. It's murky. It's murky. I'm having problems seeing. Bat Fricker, $2 says, going to see Lord of the Rings 2 Towers tonight. Oh, they're playing old Lord of the Rings movies in the theaters. That's awesome. It's a good one. Call me GL, $5 says, use Grok Imagine to make you morphing for verbal combat in the Discord, fella. Have a great day. Oh, man, I'll have to check it out. Happy birthday to Hank. Yes, day 2. Thank you. Do I get more power with more money? Yes, and I use it benevolently. So let's see real quick at the end here if we can get to 100%. Oh, look. All aside this topic, although it is important as a meta, I think that obviously what we're talking about with the left is more important and sort of the dangers of them and how they're flailing out and using violence and intimidation. So I will be talking about all that shortly. It's just that I want to have a full video to do that and not just this normal. Oh, Bat Fricker, thanks so much. $20 says they're doing all 3 this weekend and next. Take the family. Thank you. I don't know that my son would like it, but I would love to at least love to see one. It's a long way. It's like an hour away from the nearest movie theater for us. But yeah. So we'll be talking about the ice stuff shortly. I don't know what I'll stream about tomorrow or what time, but look for a TikTok siege to begin Monday with Andrew. Like I said, he wanted to do one today, and I was just like, dude, those are usually like 3 to 4 hours. I just don't have time. So I'm gonna get downstairs and get stuff ready. I got 6 minutes. What'd you all think on TikTok? I hope you've enjoyed it over there. I know it's a little so we have just a few minutes to reach our goal here of or else the singularity will converge and Project Looking Glass won't be able to see the future. And, you know, I don't even want to tell you. I don't even want to tell you what's happening. So, but all things considering, Yeah, what's up, Grid? Yeah. If you do think of one thing for this episode, remember that the person we're talking about here, Charlie Kirk, was a person. And first and foremost, I know it's hard to not think of him as the importance that he had politically. I get that. But he was a father, he was a husband, and he's gone. He was murdered. And the way he was treated afterwards by so many people on the left was grotesque. And now the infighting over people on the right for it is just, it's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. So please take a moment and to keep him in your memory. Also, one other thing that I wanted to say. I did have a death in my family. I didn't know whether to talk about this or not, but I did. My guinea pig, Fig Pig, passed away. She was a good guinea pig. She was getting up there. I think she was a little over 4 years old. My understanding is the lifespan's 3 to 5 years. But she was a lot of fun. She's very nice. We had 2 other pigs in the time that we had her, and they were both temperamental. Fig was always in good spirits. And so she will be missed. So I buried her with Elvira and with Ginny, her other 2 guinea pig friends. And so they're buried in a spot that hopefully we remember them. But yeah, a bit sad, but she had a good life. That'll probably be the last guinea pig I have. She's a lot of fun, but man, are they a mess. They really are a mess. Thanks, Danbo. I appreciate that, man. I do. This is happy birthday to Hank. Rest in peace to Fig. Thanks, Danbo. I appreciate it. So, yeah. So to Fig. Keep Fig in your memory today. She was a very good pig. She brought a lot of joy to our family. So, I don't think we'll be getting another guinea pig, though. We still have our dog, Dorothy. That'll probably be it for pets for now, unless when Hank gets a little older that he decides that he wants to try his hand at some other type of pet. But right now, that's it. That's what we're dealing with. And he also, both of his grandparents have a ton of animals, so he's always itching to go over and visit animals there as well. So, yeah, they're definitely poop machines. No cat, no. Would have been hard to have the cat with the guinea pig. My wife really wants a cat. She wants a big, Maine Coon, is what she wants. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't know what my thoughts are on having a big cat. I like them, but I also think I'm allergic to them. So, the last time we had a cat in the house, I was I had a cold 365 days a year. Go Rams is my brother in real life. He has rabbits, yeah. Oh, well, I'm so sorry, Eric Kish. I'm leaving. So, all right. A couple more seconds to get to our goal of 100%. Elsewise, I don't know what's going to happen when the singularity converges. I just don't know. So, you guys are the best. So, thank you all so much. Please keep Charlie Kirk in your memory and that of his family and say a prayer for them. I will see you all soon. I'm going to go enjoy my time with my family and my son and get ready for his birthday party tomorrow. Thank you so much. And as always, have a good one.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things, for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You aren't here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the 3rd day, and he is Lord and God of all.